Hello Facebook friends, Paul Arakelyan here. Happy Tuesday to everybody. First day of work today for most of you guys. And I wanted to talk about a subject called do options matter, or does it matter to have options or not to have options? And wanted to discuss a few scenarios, a few points of view, and see what your take is on that, and make you guys really worry about some things, certain things, and do something about it. That's the entire point. That's the entire goal, to have you guys really realize some things that we take for granted most of the time. So when I say do options matter, what does that mean? If you are facing a certain situation in life, do you want to have options or do you not want to have options? If there are more options, does that make your life easier? Does that take more stress off your shoulders? Just because you know that there are more options you can do with a certain situation, or they don't matter to you, right? So let's take one scenario. So if you had a condition, a physical health condition, and the doctor told you have a condition, would you want to hear from the doctor's mouth the word that, well, these are the options that you have, these are the 100 different kinds of treatments, or whatever, or at least 3 or 5 or 2, or the word none? Which one would make you feel a lot better? Obviously, every one of you guys, myself, we would all want to hear the word, there are so many different options. Well, if you had a situation with your career, with your job, what if they said that, well, basically your position's eliminated or whatever, and there's no other options? Would you want that, or would you want to hear the word, there's this other position, you could do something else, and or there's an option of you working part-time versus losing everything all at once? Where I'm getting to with this is options do make a big difference. So now when it comes to our industry, our landscape that we work with in the insurance and financial planning field, what are these options and why do they matter? So there's clear-cut life insurance policies out there, or disability insurance policies, long-term care policies, that just have this one thing that, and that's the end of the story. There's no other options. There's not really anything else that you can do. So when we don't need those policies, when we're not at that time that we're going to use those policies, they really don't make a difference to you, right? When you're sitting at home and saying, oh, so well, I have a policy too. It's probably sitting somewhere collecting dust or something, but so I have a policy, that's all I want to know. When was the last time that you sat down and wanted to review what your options are? I mean, what's included in this policy and what can it do for you? What if you became terminally ill and you needed to get some money because there was some sort of a treatment out there that you couldn't get your hands on, but if you had cash, you could go get it done because your HMO or your PPO or whatever insurance you had did not cover that. That was not part of the qualified care or whatever, and you couldn't save yourself. You couldn't get that treatment. Or what if you were in a situation there that you had some kind of a critical or a chronic illness and you wanted to get something out of it, and your life insurance would not. Would you want to know that there's no benefits? There's no way you could get. There's no other options. Or would you want to get some other options as well that could help you out? Obviously, the answer is the latter. You want to have the options. Or what if you became disabled, could not pay for your policy, could not afford it? Would you want to have options where your policy is paying, your policy is being paid for by someone else or by the insurance company themselves? Options are a big deal, guys. So when I could not understand for the life of me when people say, well, I just have a policy. It's a clear-cut, dry, I have a life insurance policy and that's all I know I have. Or it's a 10-year term or 20-year term. It was the cheapest thing I could get. When we are shopping for not the benefits, but for the price, we just get a price. We don't get the benefits. Benefits are your options. If you're trying to avoid your options, and you're just trying to see which one's the cheapest thing you can get your hands on, trust me, that's probably what you will end up with, right? And then when the time comes that you need something and you can't use it, you can't take advantage of things, then guess who's suffering from that? You. because you don't have those options. You could not possibly, exercise other things, other options, just because you didn't take it. And then, you start wondering to yourself, well, I had this policy sitting in my house for 10 years or 15 years. Why didn't I ever look at the damn thing? Why didn't I ever want to see what my benefits were? Maybe I could have made a difference. Maybe I could have changed something. And then the worst thing that happens is you're not at that health level anymore to make any kind of difference, to make any kind of change in your policy. When you were younger, you obviously had a lot, better health, and you're the preferred plus category or whatever. And now all of a sudden you're at standard or worse, or maybe you're not even insurable anymore. And now you're thinking about these things because now you've finally taken the time to consider your options, but you probably don't have any options. At worst yet, you start thinking about those options when you already have a physical condition that's making you think about those options. Then you really can't do anything about it. And sometimes we see that. People call and say, well, why couldn't I get life insurance now? I mean, I just got diagnosed with cancer. Well, I'm sorry. We can get you life insurance, but maybe for about $20,000, and it's not going to give you coverage right from day one. It's going to give you coverage after 2 years. The first 2 years, they just refund the premiums or whatever. Well, that sucks. That's a bad policy. I'm sorry. You didn't care about your options. You would have rather spent that money on something that you can't even name today. You probably forgot what the hell you spend the money on, but you don't have that benefit for your family. You could have had a $500,000 policy and at this point not even worry about anything because you're secured and your children's financial future is secured. But now you start thinking about it, you have no more options. So guys, let's not waste the opportunity of having our options. The cost of waiting in many, many cases is great. In some cases, it's as big as a big jackpot in the worst possible sense of the word. Okay? Let me explain it to you. Sometimes the guys, they talk, oh, well, if 5 years ago I had bought a Ferrari Testarossa, they were going for about $60,000. Now they're about $200,000. I would have made so much profit. Another person says, if I had bought 20 years ago some condominiums locally here in Glendale, it would have been about $60,000, $70,000. Now they're $500,000, $600,000. Man, I would have made profit. So it's not just hind vision is 20/20. This is really the cost of waiting. What's the lost opportunity cost, right? What are you waiting for? So, but when the time comes that somebody says that, 2 days ago or 3 days ago, they got diagnosed with cancer, and a year ago, you were talking to them and telling them, hey, you know what, you could get $500,000 or $1 million of life insurance. Why not? Well, it's not time yet. Well, let me ask you a question. What determines the time? What does it mean it's not time yet? I mean, does anybody time when it's time for them to go? I mean, yeah, maybe the suicidal people or whatever, but not even that. They can't even, they can't take that much time and time things. It's just not possible. They will give up on the idea. So that happens pretty quickly too, usually. But here's the thing. Why waste? And when I say in like a jackpot kind of a situation for the lost opportunity cost or the cost of waiting, that's what I'm talking about, because they lost that opportunity and then they come back and they're like, so can I get something now? Because I got that bad diagnosis or whatever. Can I get something? I'm really, really in need of getting that insurance. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, we can't. There's nothing. Maybe a 20 grand policy, a small policy, and it's still, if you don't make the 24-month period, don't even think you have life insurance. They're just going to refund you the money, pay you an interest, probably a lot better than the banks paid, probably give you 20% interest on your money. But that's where the story ends, nothing else. So you know what? Let's take time, guys, and let's analyze our options. Give Legacy Partners a phone call, set up an appointment, come by our office, and talk to one of our qualified advisors about your long-term care. You don't want to get there, get sick, need a nurse, and then find out you don't have coverage. And you have a home, you have this, that. They're going to put liens on your home. A hospital is going to own your home instead of your kids. talk to us about your retirement planning. You still have options now. Do not waste that time, because you know what? It would suck for you to get to that retirement age, find out that your Social Security money is not enough for you to stay above water, and then not have any options to do anything about it. But you knew that you could have done something starting today. Do it today. Do not waste your time. Or if you became disabled, there's no income coming from anywhere. You need to have your options straightened out. You need to make sure that there's income coming to you, and everything else, every other aspect of your life, you need to think about. But give us a call. We have qualified people that can help you with all your questions, all your financial and insurance needs. And I'm sure that time that you devote to analyze your options is not a wasted time. Trust me on that. So there's a phone number on your screen, and there's also a web page address. You can go in there one way or another, set up an appointment, come by the office. Thank you very, very much. Talk to you soon.